stop staring at the putter head when you make your stroke. That might sound weird.
That's weird.
But what happens? Subconsciously, it makes you steer every single putt you have, whether it's a short 3-footer or a 30-footer. You do not want to be steering and manipulating. Why? Because you are going to miss putts because of your lack of club face control. There are a million things out there telling you how to putt better. The problem is most of them are either too complicated or you just can't really think about them or do them where it matters. When you're on the golf course, when you're trying to actually hole a putt, especially when we get a little bit nearer, when we start getting in the 3-foot, under 10-foot kind of range, when we are trying to hold them. But what tends to happen is we start to try and steer the putter a little bit. We start to try and steer it in. We become very conscious of manipulation, trying to focus or think and feel the minutiae about what this putter is doing. And yes, it's good to have feel and touch and connect to just a natural sort of release of a putter. This is why a lot of people are better from longer range rather than short range. As we start to get a little bit more experienced in life, we tend to lose a bit of that feel and that touch. And I see it a lot of times with golfers over 50, over 60. When we get a little bit closer, the stroke seems to disappear. The one that was good from 20 feet away, it starts to disappear. The body shuts down and we just try and sort of tap it in with the hands. It becomes very wristy and manipulation. That's what we're doing. We're trying to sort of steer the putt in. We're trying to almost will it in. We forget about the main sort of pendulum motion that's happening and we start to think about the club face. We start looking at the club face just a little bit too much. And this is where the yips come from. This is where we start to fear these shorter little distance putts. So how can we get a little bit more authority and a little bit more flow so we can, even on those shorter putts, get a better stroke to actually hold them? I am not picking on you though, because this is something I struggle with. And it's a reason why I actually texted my friend Andy Gorman, who is a putting and short game specialist, works with tour players, elite players, regular golfers just like you. He has a fantastic solution and reason why we miss those short putts. And it was so simple. I applied it to my own game because I was having a little bit of a challenge with it too. And I noticed a difference like that. Right after a round where I used it and it felt good, I messaged him and said, we need a video on this. So Andy Gorman has given us a fantastic lesson on exactly what you need to do to stop missing those short putts and have better control. What we're going to do is stop looking at the putter head so much and we're going to concentrate on the handle. Why this makes such a difference is very important and how you go about implementing it is key. And that is why Andy is going to show you exactly how it is done.
Now, something you may not have thought about is the handle, how much this grip moves from side to side. Should we think about it? Because we're not putting with our hands, Andy. We're using our big muscles, our chest, our shoulders, if you will. If you want to rock the shoulders, carry on, you'll struggle. However, right, another video. Essentially, any movement that is going from side to side is also going to involve the movement of the handle of the club. And if you're not thinking about it and what its effects will be down here, well, whatever's happening here will only magnify the error down here. So it's time we start to think about the grip and how we can improve our skills, our club face control, our path direction by thinking a little bit more about the handle. Now, if I get a measuring tool out, I just so happen to have a short measuring tool here, a little 12-inch ruler, I can then understand a little bit more about how far the handle is going to move, whilst trying not to move the ruler. Now, the handle is going to move roughly, very roughly, like accurately, roughly 50% of the movement of the club head. Now, if I move the club head back to my green line here, that is 10 inches away from the back of the ball. And in that process, I can then establish how much movement my thumbs are going to move. My specifically middle thumb. Now, I've said middle because this might be an opposite way around, of course, because I have another ruler to hand. Happens to be approximately 50% of the distance, I'm going to say 30 inches, from the shoulder position or the ear position, the pivot point, to the center of the grip as well. So the pivot point is my left ear, and my grip from the ground, center of the grip from the ground here and here is equally 30 inches. So if I focus on this 30-inch point, which happens to be pretty central to the grip, then I can move that point of reference, my left thumb as it happens, my top thumb, right, is pretty much in the center of the grip. I can focus on moving that 5 inches when the putter head is moving 10. Because if I recognize my radius is up here and my lowest point of radius is here, the connection all the way up to there is the hands and arms on the club. I've got 2 spokes going into a 1-spoke wheel, if you will. The central spoke moves from side to side 50%. If it doesn't, because I happen to put some hinge in, then ultimately we're going to dial in an error down here. Whatever happens down there will be magnified by this movement here. So yes, Tiger putted very well with hingy wrists, and so did Jack Nicklaus. However, they were extremely good, and they practiced it for 8 hours a day. Well, maybe not 8, but they practiced it as a full-time job. We don't have that much time. Right? So if we can keep the handle moving, we want the central point of the grip. The outer point of my radius is 60 inches. My inner point, my middle point here, is 30 inches. It will travel half the distance from side to side, and as a consequence to that, I can control the club face, magnifying the skill and the control to do that. So if we can get the golf ball rolling, because the face is nice and square and the path is reasonably straight, and we can keep the handle working through the stroke, we're going to make better putts. Simple as that. That's what we're looking for. So the focus is moving the handle, moving this part here at a constant rate relative to the club face, half the distance. And then there will be much less in the way of error at the point of contact.
Well, thank you for that, Andy, and I hope it makes sense to you guys. I just want to point out a couple more things. Just so you understand, what we're trying to do is eliminate what we're thinking about the putter head doing. If we concentrate on what our thumbs and the handle are doing, when it's connected to the real sort of basically anchor point and leverage, which is just about here. I'm just holding a golf shaft. It's not exactly correct, but it will give you an idea if you want to try it. If you just sort of hold your putter there and try and move the head only and just wrists, or twist the head, you can see how much this is whacking me in the side of the neck. If I just focus on moving the handle, this leverage and pivot point stays the same, and that is what makes it reliable. If I apply the force in the putter, I'm going to end up hitting myself. If I push it forward, it's not going to hit me. That is kind of like a little aha. And Andy actually has a fantastic training aid that you can learn about, but that gives you a good sort of hopefully reference to see what we're talking about. Another way I would encourage you to try and feel this and get better at it is actually hitting some putts with your eyes closed where you're not looking at the putter head. If you find you have a tendency to sort of watch it going back a little bit, right? We want to try and eliminate that because we want to watch here. So you can do this in 2 steps. I practice sometimes just looking at the top of my putter here. You can put a T-peg in it or something like that to help. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure that my putter is moving by this, right? That is the point. I'm not even looking at the putter head. I'm hitting putts where I'm literally only looking at the top of this grip from my viewpoint here It's there. I'm focusing on there. The next step is, okay, I don't really want to be watching the grip move along, so I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to have the same sensation, but I'm going to close my eyes, and hopefully I'll still make a good stroke because my intention is feeling the putter grip here. That is what's happening. There's no excessive wrist, there's no excessive twisting because I've forgotten about this. I really do urge you as well to practice very short putts. The tap-ins, the ones that you probably give yourself way too often. So when it comes to playing well and scoring well when it matters, if you're not practicing these short little fiddly ones, if you can't do them on a flat lie and you can practice this at home, get good. Get confident at being able to hit these little sort of putts with ease, focusing on the handle with a nice tempo and ratio. Going back the same distance, going forward the same distance. Bang, 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 bang. This is what's going to help you, and practicing is going to help your scores. But if you get good from like 2-3 feet, try and hold 30 in a row, 50 in a row. Something challenging. Try and make it happen. Because when you get comfortable here, it's going to be easier from back here and from back here, because you're not going to be playing with a stroke that you're afraid of. You know, we do not want to be afraid. We do want to be steering those putts. So get confident, putt with the handle, and thank you for watching. If you want to check out Andy's channel, the link is below. He has some great short game lessons as well as some putting lessons that I know are going to help you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.